And Mr. Mayor is joining me now. Good to see you.
Good to be here, Dan.
So it's never too early to talk about a race for governor that is 2 years away almost, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the decision. Why announce so early? You're the first now on the Democratic side.
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. The most important reason is the fact that building an organization takes a lot of time. And if you're going to do it within or without the political structure in New Jersey, it takes a long runway to do that. So I needed it to be able to have the time to organize, and that's why we started when we started.
So let's talk about 2017, right? Because it seemed like you were going to run for governor back in 2017. You then kind of backed out of the race, endorsed Phil Murphy. Why do you feel that this is your time?
Yeah, look, I think I was a very different person and a different mayor at that point. I was still in the middle of my first term as mayor, so experience was different. I was in my mid-30s at the time, so I think perspective was a little bit different as far as life goes. I wasn't married, didn't have children yet. And the reason that I didn't run ultimately was I wasn't willing to walk away from being mayor because they run simultaneously, and I felt like there were a lot of things I didn't do. So went up to the line and then decided that maybe my time wasn't right, and I'm thankful that I got another shot at it. Yeah,
so do you feel that your work in Jersey City, because you could run for another term in Jersey City, do you feel like your work there is done for what you can do and that you just think you could do more for the whole state?
My general belief is that I could get reelected there. I think that the electorate hasn't elected a three-term mayor in Jersey City in 70 years, and generally they're supportive of the work that I do up till now. That said, I do think, politicians and elected officials shouldn't stay in an office forever. I think that fresh ideas and fresh perspective is good. So there's a lot of things I want to finish in the next, 2 years, and I'm focused on that. And then, I think I'm comfortable passing the baton to the next person.
So within the next 2 years, you still have some work to do in Jersey City, right? But you'll simultaneously be campaigning at the same time?
Yes.
Now, you don't know who you're campaigning against yet, so how much of a campaign is it really until you have some opponents?
Well, for me, it's about organizing grassroots. It's about getting people involved. It's about having, meet and greets and town halls and talking about ideas and putting policies out there. And you really need to have a galvanizing point to be able to do that. So saying you're running for an office allows people to view it through that lens. Saying that I may run for an office is a small nuanced difference, but from an electoral standpoint, it's a very, very difficult and different predicament.
Right, so let's talk specifics right now. When you look at New Jersey as a whole, what is the #1 issue that you would like to tackle?
I mean, the #1 issue is affordability. It's a very expensive place to live, and you need to really focus on property taxes. I think that is going to be the first and foremost, how you're going to conquer that and really dig into it in an aggressive way. So I think I have a good track record in Jersey City, and we'll go forward from there.
So let's dive into that, right? Because people in New Jersey, they're listening very carefully. Property taxes is the #1 issue in the history of New Jersey elections, specifically when it comes to governor. Committing early to not raising taxes, would you?
Yes, sure.
Not committing. Okay, so when you look at your history then, Jersey City, you did not raise taxes. We've talked about this.
Yes.
But the school board did. Well, can you explain that and how that's possible and how you could not have anything to, you can't stop that from happening with the school board?
So in New Jersey, there are different elected entities. So you have your local municipal government, you have your Board of Education, you have your state government, you have your federal government. Those are who represent you, and county government. I'm responsible for municipal government. Every other entity is a taxing entity as well. So the unfortunate thing is I deliver the tax bill for everybody. But with regards to the budget that I control is a $700 million plus budget on municipal government. And 7 out of 10 years, we haven't raised taxes at all.
Right, but people are going to look at it and might hit you on the fact that property taxes did go up, right? So how do you change the perception of I didn't raise taxes and somebody else did, and does it look like you're passing the buck?
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, look, you have 10 years of a record on everything, so you could dig into anything I did, pro and con, and there's a lot of media coverage around that. So that's what a campaign is about. I think I could point to the fact that I've been more fiscally responsible than almost any mayor in New Jersey, and we've done a good job making Jersey City an economic growth engine for the entire state. So look, a campaign, people are going to criticize. That's the job of opponents, right? But I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with our track record on that front.
So committing to not raising property taxes, you talked about affordability, right? That's a big issue. At this time, I don't know what's going to be in the election, inflation's at a super high rate. What is the current administration misusing money for that you're saying that there's an affordability crisis?
Well, I think they could focus more on property taxes overall. I think you need to have a holistic perspective on how you're going to change the approach that New Jersey has with funding their schools, which is predominantly property taxes. So, when you look at how you tax industrial properties and commercial properties and residential properties, that hasn't been revisited since the 1950s, and I think it's about time that it does.
Now, what are some of the things, thank you for addressing the property tax issue, what are some of the things you've done in Jersey City that you think could play to a wider audience?
Yeah, look, I think, first of all, from a fiscal responsibility standpoint, we've consolidated different departments. I think from a social policy, we've been the leader for sure on every sort of progressive social policy that there is. From a transportation standpoint, without state resources, we've created a microtransit system using rideshare systems, one of the best in the entire country. I think from an environmental standpoint, we've been an absolute leader on that front. And, affordable housing. I think we've done more on that front than anybody else in New Jersey. And then, market rate housing, which is an important part of growth in New Jersey. We are the economic backbone of that. New York City needs to do a better job of growing itself, and that impacts the entire state of both New Jersey and the metro area.
Yeah, if you did become governor, it would be happening around the same time that congestion pricing may or may not happen. Where do you stand on congestion pricing?
I mean, I'm not a supporter. It's a tax on New Jersey residents to fix New York City infrastructure, and we have our own infrastructure needs in New Jersey, and I think that there needs to be some equity around where we're investing on that. New Jersey Transit hasn't seen the investments they need for decades.
And I talked about this with you once before, that New Jersey is a very interesting state, right? Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's purple. So how would you plan along your campaign to reach out to the Republican side of things? Because Jack Ciattarelli, a Republican who plans to run, almost won last time, came much closer than anybody anticipated. How do you plan to reach Republicans?
Well, let me just start with how we run in Jersey City, and being a mayor gives a different set of skill set, right? So being a mayor, you can't cater to the extreme left or the extreme right. You have to really find solutions, and that means reaching out to Republicans and Democrats. We run nonpartisan races in Jersey City, and I think I have a background in reaching out to both, and my electoral history speaks to that better than I think any other potential candidate.
Do you think you could right now, given the state of politics where they are, where everything is very, very divided?
Yeah.
Do you think you could reach across the aisle?
Absolutely. I think we have the best narrative from a pro-growth and pro-business perspective than anybody else in the state. We have a track record to point to. So the same way earlier you said, hey, you have some things that people could criticize you on. I think that's fair. There's a lot of success stories there that we could also point to. And I think that Republicans around the state can look at Jersey City, and for certain they would view it as a success story. All right, going to be a very interesting race. We'll be following it along the way. Thanks. It's going to be a lengthy, a year and a half, 2 years almost, right?
We'll talk to you plenty, I'm sure.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks.